Some moments in hockey are unforgettable. They're the ones that make fans jump out of their seats, the ones that get replayed for years, the ones that leave even the players in shock. Whether it's a last-second goal, an unbelievable display of skill, or a mistake that no one can believe. These are the moments that make the game special. First, let's go back to 2010. The Chicago Blackhawks were in the Stanley Cup Finals, facing the Philadelphia Flyers in Game 6. The game was tied 3-3, and overtime had just begun. Every second felt like a lifetime as both teams fought for the win. Then, Patrick Kane took control of the puck, he skated down the left wing, made a move around a defender, and fired a shot. The puck slipped between goalie Michael Layton's pads and disappeared. For a few seconds, no one reacted. The goalie stayed in position, the Flyers kept playing, and even the referees weren't sure what had happened. But Kane knew. He threw his gloves in the air and started celebrating, even as everyone else hesitated. It wasn't until the officials reviewed the play that it became official. The puck was in the net, stuck in the back padding. Just like that, the Blackhawks had won their first Stanley Cup in 49 years. One of the strangest game-winning goals in hockey history, and only one player saw it happen in real time. Of course, when it comes to jaw-dropping goals, there's one name that stands above the rest. January 16, 2006. Alex Ovechkin was still a rookie, but he was already making his mark in the NHL. Late in the third period, against the Phoenix Coyotes, he got the puck and took off down the right side. A defenseman knocked him off balance, and Ovechkin fell onto his back. It should have been the end of the play. But as he slid across the ice, he somehow kept control of the puck with one hand on his stick and his body completely twisted. He flicked the puck past goalie Brian Boucher. No one could believe what they had just seen. Even Wayne Gretzky, who was coaching the Coyotes at the time, stood in shock. Broadcasters immediately called it the goal of the year, and almost 2 decades later, it's still one of the most incredible goals ever scored. But not every moment in hockey is about pure skill. Sometimes it's the mistakes that people remember. Craig Smith learned that the hard way on November 17, 2011, in a game against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Nashville was leading 4-1, and the Leafs had pulled their goalie. Smith had the puck right in front of an empty net, just a few feet away from sealing the win. All he had to do was tap it in. Instead, he somehow sent the puck flying over the glass. The entire arena gasped. Even the commentators couldn't believe it. Empty net goals are supposed to be the easiest to score, yet Smith had missed in the worst way possible. He looked completely stunned, like he couldn't believe what had just happened. Luckily for him, Nashville still won the game, but the clip of that moment would live on forever. Then, there was the Eastern Conference Finals in 2023. The Carolina Hurricanes faced the Florida Panthers in a game that just wouldn't end. It stretched into 4 overtimes, lasting over 6 hours. Both teams were exhausted, but no one gave up. Carolina scored first with a power play goal from Seth Jarvis. Florida answered with 2 goals from Alexander Barkov and Carter Verhaeghe. Carolina struck back early in the third period, tying the game. Then the real battle began. Overtime after overtime. Both goalies refused to break. Sergei Bobrovsky for Florida and Frederik Andersen for Carolina made save after save. Florida thought they had won in the first overtime, but the goal was overturned because of goaltender interference. The clock kept ticking. Players could barely stand, but they kept pushing. Then, with just 12.7 seconds left before a 5th overtime, Matthew Tkachuk ended it. He took a pass from Sam Bennett, fired a shot, and sent the puck past Andersen. Game over. The Panthers celebrated, while the Hurricanes dropped to the ice in exhaustion. Not all crazy moments come from battles like that. Sometimes it's one mistake that makes history. Brad Marchand had that moment in a shootout. He skated up for his attempt, looking confident. But as he went to take his shot, something went wrong. His stick barely touched the puck, just enough to move it slightly. Then he kept skating past it. The puck sat still at center ice. That counted as an attempt. No second chances. Game over. The other team celebrated while Marchand skated back to the bench, looking frustrated and embarrassed. It was one of the strangest shootout mistakes ever seen. Then there are moments that make fans question reality. Ryan Miller made a save that looked more like something from a soccer game. He had left his net, skating toward the bench for an extra attacker. But then the other team got the puck. Miller turned and sprinted back, trying to get in position. By the time he reached the crease, it was too late. The shot was already taken. The net was open. The goal seemed guaranteed. But Miller wasn't done. He dove across the crease, reaching out with his stick. Somehow, the puck hit his stick and bounced away. It didn't make sense. The fans couldn't believe what they had just seen. Tim Thomas had a moment just like that in the 2011 Stanley Cup Finals. It was Game 5 against Vancouver. The Bruins needed every save they could get. Steve Downey got the puck near the net with a perfect chance to score. Thomas was out of position. He had no time to reset. The shot came, but Thomas refused to give up. He lunged across the crease and stretched his stick out along the ice. The puck hit the blade and stopped inches from the goal line. That save changed the game. Thomas went on to win the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP, making more saves in one postseason than anyone in history. That was a crazy moment, but at least it made Thomas a star. Kellen Lane wasn't so lucky. On January 18, 2014, he made his NHL debut for the Vancouver Canucks. This was the moment he had worked for his entire life. The puck dropped, and 2 seconds later, his night was over. Both teams had sent out their toughest players, expecting a fight. As soon as the game started, every single skater paired off and started throwing punches. Lane squared up with Kevin Westgarth, but before he could land anything meaningful, the refs shut it down. He was ejected, along with 7 other players. A lifetime of training, and his first NHL game lasted 2 seconds. That had to sting. But his story didn't end there. 3 days later, he got back on the ice and scored his first NHL goal against Edmonton. This time, no fights, just a clean shot and a moment he could finally enjoy. Some moments in hockey are just weird. On December 11, 2018, during a game between the St. Louis Blues and Florida Panthers, St. Louis defenseman Robert Bortuzzo tried to dump the puck into the offensive zone. That should have been routine. Instead, he hit referee Tim Peel square in the midsection. The puck bounced off Peel and flew straight into the Panthers' net. For a second, no one knew what to do. Some players celebrated, others looked around in shock. The officials huddled up, then waved it off. According to NHL rules, a goal doesn't count if the puck goes directly into the net off a referee. Tough luck for Bortuzzo. Lucky break for Florida's goalie Roberto Luongo. Peel was in serious pain, but managed to finish the game. Later, Bortuzzo laughed about the whole thing and joked about buying Peel dinner as an apology. Leon Draisaitl is one of the best players in the NHL, but even the greats have moments they'd rather forget. During a game against the Minnesota Wild, he made a mistake that left everyone stunned. Trying to clear the puck out of his own zone, he mishandled it, sending a perfect shot straight into his own net. His goalie, Marc-Andre Fleury, could only watch as the puck slid past him. For a second, no one seemed to believe what had just happened. Draisaitl skated away in frustration, knowing this clip would be replayed over and over. But even with this awkward moment, his reputation didn't take a hit. He's still one of the top players in the league, and every now and then, even the best make mistakes. That was an embarrassing moment, but sometimes hockey players push through things that go way beyond just feeling embarrassed. Zdeno Chara proved that in the 2019 Stanley Cup Finals. During Game 4 against the St. Louis Blues, a puck deflected straight into his face, breaking his jaw. Most players would be done for the series, but Chara isn't like most players. He had surgery to insert plates, wires, and screws to hold his jaw together. Then showed up for Game 5 wearing a full face shield. Eating was impossible at first, and the pain was brutal. But he kept going. He delivered hits, blocked shots, and even managed to score an empty net goal before the series was over. His toughness earned him even more respect, adding to his legacy as one of the hardest players ever to step on the ice. Mistakes happen, and injuries are part of the game, but sometimes a play is just flat out funny. That's exactly what happened to Washington Capitals goalie Charlie Lindgren. In a game against the Tampa Bay Lightning, the score was tied 3-3 in the third period when he went behind the net to handle the puck. Everything seemed routine until he tried to pass it to his teammate John Carlson. Instead, he miscalculated and accidentally shot the puck straight into his own net. Just like that, Tampa Bay was ahead. And to make things worse, the goal counted as a hat trick for Braden Point, who had been the last Lightning player to touch the puck. It was the kind of mistake that goalies have nightmares about, but Lindgren didn't let it define the game. He bounced back with some huge saves, and Washington pulled off a comeback, winning 5-4. His own goal went viral online, but in the end, all that mattered was the victory. Now, if you liked the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you can watch more amazing NHL content.